International Affair, the Cut Channel Dash Radio, here with my beautiful friend and special guest, Sharon Carpenter, TV personality, someone I've looked up to in this industry, absolutely, for the strides that you've made as an international woman here in the US. You have some very exciting things coming up, and I want to start with the most obvious. This week's episode of Empire has a special guest. It's the most talked about show on television, and that would be you.
That would be me. And you know what? It's just so funny even hearing that because it's been so surreal. You know what I mean? It's like, and also we shot this back in June. So, you know, a couple of months have gone by and now I'm like, wow, it's really about to happen in a couple of days, you know. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the biggest thing on television. I was a huge fan of season 1. Season 2, as you could tell from episode 1, like
I was going to ask you,
for, like a roller coaster
Oh my
ride.
goodness, let's talk about that. So last week's episode was the first episode of season 1.
Yeah,
and a lot of people were saying it may have jumped the shark already, only because Blink. There was a million cameos in which was very entertaining. What do you think?
I loved it. I love the fact that it was so fast paced. There was so much going on. You know, I love the fact that this is a stage where various different celebs can come on and either be themselves or, you know, play roles. And I think it just adds even more excitement to it. You know, I think the viewers get even more excited knowing, oh, wow, Chris Rock's going to be in there. What's
It
Chris
was
Rock
fun.
It was hilarious.
Yeah, it was
Chris
fun.
Rock was so funny. And we've never seen him in a role like that
as a cannibal, as a cannibal murderer.
Exactly.
That was very interesting. So can you speak a little bit about what your role might be? Oh, awesome. Okay.
Well, I mean, I can't give away the storyline, but I'll tell you a little bit about the role. So I'm playing myself. And, you know, which has been really exciting.
Well,
and, you know, it was kind of relieving as well because I wouldn't say that acting is my thing. I've never acted before. This was pretty much my acting debut. So it wasn't too much of a stretch playing myself, right? I've got to give a shout out to the writer who wrote the script, episode 2, Carlito Rodriguez, because he did such an... Do you know Carlito?
Of The Source? Well, and I know of him. As a hip-hop journalist, you've got to know all of these people. Absolutely.
Yeah, and of course, you know, he's a journalist himself. So he knows how to do a good interview. And the way he wrote the script for me was like a real interview, like how I normally do my interviews as well. So it felt really, really natural. And so it's a really cool scene. It's a meaty scene, as Lee Daniels described it. Yeah, Lee actually emailed me. He was like, Sharon, I'm so excited. We have a really meaty scene for you. And let's just say some secrets are revealed. And there's an explosive moment at the end
of your
big
scene.
drama at the end of my scene.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm so happy
Well, I
for
think
you.
it's actually 2 scenes that I'm in. One right after the other, I believe. I'm not sure how it's going to be in the show. But yeah, definitely look out for episode 2 because sparks are gonna fly.
I'm so proud of you.
Oh,
and how did
you.
this come together?
It came together. I mean, I was at my home. I was actually working on some other stuff, and I get a call from my agent, and just you could tell from the tone in her voice, she was screaming. Let's just say it down the phone. She was like, "Oh my God, you're never gonna believe which show wants you on." I'm like, I had no idea. And when she was like Empire, I was screaming back down the phone, you know. So it's a really amazing feeling to know that there's so many celebrities who are on the show, like big celebrities and people who are trying to get on the show, and the fact that they reached out to me, and wanted me for this particular scene. And apparently they were looking for someone who was kind of like a Barbara Walters sort of style interview, but for entertainment, you know. And they were like, you know, Sharon's the perfect person. So yeah.
One thing I'll say, I remember when you were on Wendy Williams.
Yeah.
And one of the topics, I believe, was Empire and Lee Daniels.
Yes.
And I think I tweeted you because you spoke so eloquently and you just really captured everything about... I forget what the topic was exactly, but you went hard for Lee, and I was wondering. I did. I think you must have really been very impressed with that.
Well, it's funny that you say that because when he sent me the email, he was like, "Oh, I saw you on Wendy being Team Lee," and he sent me like the praying hands on email. So I was like, "Oh wow, he actually saw that. That's really." And
you
really
did
cool.
that genuinely. You didn't even know.
I did that. I had no idea. Like this all came like a couple of months after that.
Yeah.
But I've known Lee throughout the years. You know, I've interviewed Lee several times. Like, of course, he's had like some massive movies out there. So ever since I was at BET, that was the first time I interviewed Lee. And I interviewed him on Arise a few months ago as well. So I think I've definitely been there kind of in the back of his mind.
That's a good key, though. You know, to stay relevant and keep yourself working, because you never know what opportunities are going to come out of it.
Yeah, you never know. And the thing is, I think that, putting out consistently quality stuff, and which is something, and I think you and I may have discussed this at some point, like there's a lot of stuff that's just kind of rush, and there's so much out there, like when it comes to media or on the internet, people don't know what to believe and what not to believe. And for me, like, credibility has always been really, really key to my brand. I'm from the world of traditional journalism. Obviously, I'm in the world of, new digital journalism as well. But one of the things that I've kept consistent is just being like a truth teller, trying to get to the truth, accurate stories, fair stories, and that kind of thing. And some people don't necessarily think of it as important as they used to, you know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
is it the level of importance, I don't think.
And I was going to add to that too, because we do come from that old school train of thought when it comes to journalism, and we were never the talent, right? We were always interviewing the talent.
Exactly,
so now it's switched around. And how have you found that transition? Because I know personally, going from journalist to media personality has been difficult for me. How has that been for you?
I think that the difficult part was probably when I did the Gossip Game, right? Which was a reality show I co-created. We had several female media personalities on that. You actually would have been good for the Gossip Game as well. But
I definitely would have.
I don't know if it would have been your thing.
It would have been interesting.
Yeah, it would have been interesting.
Let's just put it that way.
we had Angela Yee, we had Kay Fox, we had Kim Osario, Jazz Fly, Viv, and Miss Drama. And for me, like, initially I wasn't going to be on the show, right? So I co-created it with my business partner, Tone Boots. And I was like, no, don't even think about it, guys. But people kept asking me to reconsider. And then I was like, you know what? Let me give it a shot. And we are in a day and age where people really want to know more about the person who's doing the interview, as you said, right? So I was like, okay, this is an opportunity for me to show a little bit more about my personality. But it was difficult because I am a private person. Nothing has really been out there on the blogs about who I'm dating and that sort of stuff. So to have camera crews in my bedroom, I'm there with the guy who I'm dating at the time in bed, I'm brushing my teeth and they're filming me, it was very difficult. And I think one of the other things is just becoming someone who gives their own opinion, you know what I mean? Because
absolutely,
because 100%. I was all about, like, it's not about my opinion.
We're
it's
reporting
about
the news.
We're reporting the news. You guys make up your mind. I will find out the facts for you. I will deliver the facts. You make up your mind, and that has changed. So even with news organizations, I mean, with Wendy, that's really given me an opportunity and a platform to give my perspective on things
when we weren't encouraged to do that originally.
It was frowned upon,
absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
And I still think that there's something in delivering the facts and letting people make up their own minds. But I think that there's room for both. Like, I think as a journalist, you don't have to keep quiet on your own opinions. Maybe if you're telling a story, depending on the news or the organization in general. But I think it's okay to have your own opinions, and people value that
I
now.
just started doing social commentary videos on my YouTube. I've done 2 so far. I did one on immigration and refugees, because immigration is something very near and dear to our hearts. And the second one I just spoke on, there's a controversy right now regarding Chris Brown potentially traveling to Australia. It's very hard. Actually, my heart was palpitating as I was recording them, because we're not used to putting our opinions out there. So I do feel like for reality stars, you probably gained a new respect for them in a way, because to put your whole life out there, regardless of how people view it, is not easy. You have to be brave in some certain way.
And I think when you're coming from a place where you have been told not to do that, and then you have to move towards that, I think that's even more difficult. So, definitely a lot of respect to a lot of journalists who've made that transition. And even on Twitter, I mean, I remember when I first started using Twitter, and I'm like, okay, I've got people who are following me as my audience and fans, and they want to know more about me. But then I've also got the BBC, and I've got the Daily News, and I've got politicians, and like striking that balance.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So you're not overstepping the line too much.
Okay, Sharon Carpenter is here. She is on Empire, the hottest show on television this Wednesday night. We'll be back with more. This is International Affair.